The healing powers of nature, gardening, and green spaces have countless benefits. But can they cure our body of disease? On today's journey, we explore how nutrition from the natural environment may hold the key to a disease-free life.
When I was 38 years old and I started bleeding through my bowels and being very sick, some days I couldn't even really get out of bed. I struggled to get out of bed. That there had to be some connection to what I was consuming and the healing process.
Garry Tibbo, a certified nutritionist, has been living off this vast garden just outside of Toronto for 9 years. Garry has everything he needs right here for a healthy, off-the-grid lifestyle.
I started noticing when I ate local vegetation from my garden, I felt better. Within 6 months to a year of really eating that way and drinking certain teas plant medicine that I grew up with in Northern Ontario, my body stopped bleeding. I lost 90 pounds in 3.5 months. Being so sick and then starting to heal, that really was the catalyst to make me more self-sufficient.
Garry has dedicated his life to teaching others how to become self-sufficient and survive naturally off the land and as a means to rid the body of disease. Can you give us just a few examples of some of the plants that kind of spoke to you or worked for you or you really felt were quite effective initially?
Well, I noticed it right away when just eating green dandelions or cooking them, you know, my intestinal tract felt better.
No burning.
No burning. My digestion was working better just from a simple plant like that. Dandelion leaves and roots are one of the best things that you can eat to help your liver, and they're a natural diuretic. It's called a European bird cherry, and if you smell the flowers at this time of the year, they smell really good, and if it was a warmer day, you would smell the perfume from these flowers 400 or 500 feet away. Now, when you see the fruit in the fall on this, until it ferments, you can't eat it.
And the birds don't eat it either.
They won't eat it till the springtime when they come back. Their purpose of eating it is for fertilization of their bodies, so they're going to have healthy offspring. I've had women that, you know, could not get pregnant, and I took and made like a jam jelly with the whole seed. Every woman I've tried this with, she got pregnant. Tastes like mint, but it's sweet basil. When this starts growing in the springtime, it's purple. And this is a really good spice for your health of anybody. This type of horsetail, great for putting in a bath and soaking your body because it helps with arthritic conditions in your bones.
And this yellow flower, I recognize it.
Yeah, well, it originally comes from France, meaning très folle, meaning like a foolish person.
Oh, and we call it trefoil in English.
Right.
Like we just anglicized très folle.
Right. It's used like a medication when somebody's like, yeah, it controls your mood swings in your mind.
Your desire to live so self-sufficiently and to be able to learn what to eat and when to harvest and all the details, so much of what you've learned in the last 20, probably 30 or more years, where was that coming from? What drove you to get to that point?
The fact that I was bleeding so much blood You go to any medical professional now, if you're bleeding blood, they suspect you have some kind of bowel cancer. Basically, after 2 years of medical testing, the 5 specialists and the GP, they wanted to cut me open and look inside. I said, look, I had enough. Whatever's wrong with me, I'm gonna go home and die with it. And then I started really researching, you know, your insides and how they really work. And the more I researched and the more I started looking at things, I started deciding I was gonna plant my own food. Well, I grow garlic, onions, native beans, native corn, potatoes, which are native to North America. Yes. I grow this food so that I can eat some of it towards the fall, but most of it is for storage so that I don't have to buy anything from the store supply in the wintertime. Once you start to understand how the weeds and different plants that we don't consider food are food, and they've been brought from other countries, some of them are indigenous to this country, and you start to realize that there's a food supply naturally growing before your food supply is even ready to plant. You can't even put the seeds in the ground. Right. And this is growing by itself. Right. So you have this rich abundance of minerals and vitamins and good tasting food right available at your fingertips without any work. The more I researched a lot of these plants and using what my grandmother taught me as a native person and what my parents taught me as well, I started putting things together.
You make the connections between all these things that are happening.
I just capitalized on that. My brain knew that it was the right way to go. Being so sick and then starting to heal, that really was the catalyst to make me more self-sufficient. And the recognition is that I didn't have to have stuff imported from China or special stuff from California. It was by my feet. I could sit in the garden in the morning and pick whatever I wanted to cook.
So, Garry, how self-sufficient are you really?
I would say I'm self-sufficient to the point of about 90%. This row is the smaller onions that were left over from last year.
Okay.
And we plant them back, and something interesting, you'll see how some of them are dividing.
There's twins.
Yes. So most people don't know that certain types of onions, they grow seed and they will divide.
Yes.
So you'll double your crop.
Yeah, if you let them do that.
If you let them do that.
And of course, what's happening here on the top of this stem?
Well, that's the flower, and then it's going to turn to seed. And if you collect the seed, basically you can have small, tiny little onions that will
start again.
Start again. Coming here to the farm, the environment is very natural. We have a variety of wildlife that, you know, shows you beneficial actions and how they work together symbiotically. And, you know, we have lots of fish in the pond. We have fish in the river at different times of the year that are easy to catch because they're going up and spawning or whatever. And, you know, we have deer in the field, so, you know, I've been feeding them for the last 9 years. They're pretty fat. You know, I have 85 apple trees, but I planted sour cherry trees, pear trees, and I'm still gonna plant all kinds of stuff. I've even got grapevines that I'm experimenting with, and I wanna grow whole row grapevines.
Your chickens have been busy. Look at this, all colors.
This is just the afternoon of the eggs. My wife already picked up over a dozen this morning.
So this is just the last hour or two?
Yeah, and then there's a few hens still laying some.
Nice. So clearly these eggs are a good example of the benefits of the chickens that we've seen all over your farm in the last couple of days.
Well, you're getting the highest quality protein that you can have, and it's fresh.
What else do the chickens bring to your beautiful place here?
Well, their manure basically is the highest form of putting minerals and vitamins back into the ground for growing your vegetables or putting around the fruit trees. And then the other benefit of having chickens is, you know, if I clean them and butcher them myself, I don't have to buy chicken from the store.
Yeah. And you know what they've been eating and how they've been raised.
Exactly.
So that's the old grow local, eat local. What are they eating when they're out free on the range?
These guys are eating all kinds of stuff off the ground that would harm your garden or harm you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll eat the ticks and all kinds of stuff.
Everybody needs a chicken to get the ticks these days. So besides for obviously pollinating some of your fruit trees here, is there anything else, and honey we all love, but is there anything else you use the bees for?
Well, all this brown propolis is the strongest form of disinfectant on Earth. That's why in the Greek language, propolis means disinfectant. So they put this inside the box, and you can see they've sealed it up all the way around so that bacteria and other stuff can't get in. And there's always a little bit of this in honey when you're eating it from the actual cone with the wax. You don't see it, but it's there. So what people don't realize, in the actual cone, before the bees seal it off to put the wax on the top, they leave the honey exposed for 30 days. And in that 30 days, that honey is fermenting. So when it ferments, you have lots of enzymes in it. And so that's really good for your digestive system.
So that's actually eating honeycomb. It's got some honeys affiliated with it.
Yes.
Just chewing it. And it's like waxy, right? So it's almost like gum. It
Also, when you eat the wax has a benefit that it lubricates your intestinal tract. It absorbs all kinds of toxins.
You swallow that as well.
Yes, so it cleans you.
Garry Tibbo has dedicated his life to natural living as a means to rid the body of disease. You really did some very strong, or very important healing of yourself through this very obviously scary and troubling malady that you're struggling with. And then as you started to feel better and you started to learn more, at what point did you want to start sharing your knowledge with others? Like, how did that happen?
People were asking me about problems, and I would start giving them ideas and giving them different teas.
Is there anything else from my tea here?
Yes.
What's this one?
Wild carrots.
And what does this guy do?
Well, carrots are high in vitamin A, but most people just eat the carrot. They don't realize that the leaves have more vitamin A than the roots do. So what I do is I break off the leaf like this, and I'll dry them, and then I'll shed all the green out. And then when I grind it up and you actually put hot water with it, you're extrapolating the vitamin A and all the mineral content. So many people over the years have asked me all kinds of questions, and I've helped them. I should really get a diploma in nutrition and go to a school. And I enrolled at IHN, Institute of Holistic Nutrition, IHN.
The network started.
Yeah,
obviously.
it started. And then I wrote my own book, 5 Weeds, 5 Trees, 5 Tools, A Way to Self-Sufficiency and Good Health. And I got a lot of response from writing that book with people say, I've got to read and study your book 3 or 4 times. I believe that more and more people should be educated in what I'm doing, and I'm willing to share the knowledge with a lot of people.
Fashion stylist Peter Papapetrou had irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, for many years. After seeing doctors and specialists, he was diagnosed with proctitis.
This is one of the things I put in your tea.
The little one that you were talking
Yeah, the wood sorrel.
Wood sorrel.
Yes,
Okay.
and if you taste this, right now fresh, eat it, you'll see it's a really good taste. It tastes like lemon.
Mustardy.
It's like a lemon. Tastes lemony.
Lemony mustardy.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
It was used to replace lemons during the Second World War. It helps to alkalize the body so that your body's not so acidic.
Garry told me there's going to be a lot of life changes you're going to have to do. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to change. You know, my intestines were raw, and so a lot of feces that was going through my intestines would be able to break through into my bloodstream. So we had to really heal that. So he explained a lot of stuff to me. He was able to explain a lot of things about why I was having certain symptoms and reactions to things. And I felt that it was I felt empowered in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say, if probably just having like the sharing of knowledge that took place between Garry and yourself about you is like, wow, the things you learned, you must have felt great.
It did. For so long, you're in the dark, right? And then all of a sudden, you go to a doctor, and you're told what was wrong with you, but you're still a little bit in the dark. But when I went with Garry, it was great to be like so opened into like a world of things that you didn't know and things that you weren't being included in, and things that actually started to just make sense.
This is narrow leaf plantain. Both forms of plantain, this one here and the round leaf one, naturally are high in iron. And what they do is they help your bowel movement. That helps to remove waste from your body.
By the time I got home, I had made the decision that I was going to do everything that Garry told me to do. Because in my gut, it felt 100% right. He gave me wormwood to chew to basically reduce the amount of parasites. Then the tea that he made me, which he basically went and had a whole cabinet full of all these dried herbs.
Oh, okay.
He would mix it specifically for mine. There was like bark he would grate. It was really fascinating to watch all this happen in front of you, because you could ask questions. He would tell you everything that it was. All right,
Okay, come, Peter.
So this isn't actually one of the herbs that were in my tea?
Yes, this is the Canada thistle, a really good antioxidant. So what I like to do with this, especially if I have somebody that's really unable to digest food and they're really not well at all,
okay,
I like to take the leaves with a pair of gloves, and I cut them all off, and I'll put them in the bullet and with some water and kind of juice it up first.
Okay.
And then I pass it through my Super Angel juicer, and I extrapolate dry paper on one side and this green juice with a lot of white foam. And the foam is a high level of fat.
Oh.
And that fat is a powerhouse for people's gut lining and their body health and everything. It just boosts you.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
It's a passion to me.
I was going to say, clearly your passion.
You know, it's not about money or anything or pride or anything. It's just about me to help someone else.
My levels, I've gone to the doctor for my tests of blood tests and stuff, and the levels are totally great. There's nothing wrong with it. Garry really taught me that being inclusive, being, participating and looking around you, that realizing that, maybe what we do need is just around us.
Garry Tibbo lives off the land and teaches others how to be self-sufficient like him. Peter Papapetrou has learned from Garry how to eat natural and whole foods and maintain a healthy lifestyle. So Peter, would you have ever considered that a major health issue such as you've had could be reversed through simply diet?
No. I didn't know. I would probably say I had no idea, or have I ever really thought of it? I would think, no, you go to the doctor tells you what to do. And my new normal has taught me to eat cleaner, eat better, and yes, I still treat myself. Yes, I still eat cake when I want to eat cake. I still do things. I never thought I'd be eating as many dandelions as I do. Wormwood, bee pollen, honeycomb is another one that's in there, like fresh honeycomb from Garry. I make sure that certain things are like actually straight from farm. Like a lot of our eggs are.
So farmers markets, fresh stuff.
Cleaner, smarter. I've made this happen, through the guidance of Garry. And you feel empowered. You do.
Yeah.
You feel better about the fact that you're able to control it and able to make changes. And maybe you look at things differently now than you have before. The one thing you have to really be sure of is to be an advocate of your own health. You really need to ask questions. You really need to, research as much as you can. And don't be afraid to do that. It is your health.
So before we head off away from your beautiful farm, is there any sort of final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
I started doing this with nothing. And, so can anybody else. Just takes a little bit of time and patience. And whatever country you live in, learn your environment really well. And you'll be surprised what your environment can teach you and how self-sufficient you can become. And you won't be struggling for looking for money to buy stuff and food and all that stuff. Your life is gonna improve. And so will your wealth, because the real wealth is not in the money, it's in the self-sufficiency of that you're alive to be able to breathe and do what you want to do at any time you can.